Okay, moving on. Let's check in with the listeners.
Hey, listeners.
Listeners, remember you can always reach us at the email address gamescoop@ign.com. Just like
Did you fold that over so I couldn't accidentally
yes,
see that?
your wandering eyes. Don't try and see the 20 questions answer. This email comes from Adolf Vega, who's definitely a boss in a video game.
Yeah.
Street Fighter character, maybe?
Yep.
And this week is the 25th anniversary of the Super Nintendo, which we were just talking about. And Adolf writes in, is the Super Nintendo the best video game console ever?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you think it's no-brainer?
Yes.
Well, it's close.
Or yes, is it at least the best Nintendo console?
Yes.
Go for it.
No. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I love.
Do you really think it's the best console ever?
Yeah. Like, I feel like that. Like, it's so easy for me to say that. Like, with a clear conscience. Like, sure, I agree. It's close. And certainly, like, there were plenty of games to love on all consoles and all platforms all throughout history. I don't think I own a major system and own also less than 40 games for it. So it's like every single system is great. Every single system has bangers. But I mean, like, to me, I think that when you look at people who've been playing games for any long extended amount of time, like 2 decades or longer, you ask them what their favorite games are, what they think the most seminal games
That's
are
true.
in the console space, and I will guarantee you that no less than 5 of those 10 are Super Nintendo games.
It is oh, go ahead.
What did we name? Did we name Mario 3 the number one game of all
We
time?
did, and that was the right choice.
No, exactly. Me
It's
and
like,
Justin.
I don't even want to get it back into it. All the memories are coming back.
No,
to me
but I'm
now.
with you, Justin. Like Super Mario World, man.
Yes.
Super Mario World is sublime. Mario 3 is so bad.
I love 3,
It's
but
not better.
But the Super NES is a marvelous expression of the era of distinctive hardware. Like there was a time when what hardware was in your box was very, very different than what hardware was in a competitor's box, and your games, which were written largely in assembly language or with custom tools, were built around the hardware's capabilities and limitations. The SNES, I think, was the perfect porridge of that. It had that extraordinary Sony sound chip in it, which produced some of the most distinctive melodies and sound effects that you'll ever remember from video games. It had beautiful graphics capabilities that were very diverse. You could do a lot with it. It had, yesterday everybody remembers the Mode 7 effects, which were a lot of fun. It added kind of a wonderful anachronism to the games, but also just the way it handled colors and sprites was really well done. And then its processor, which was very interesting because it wasn't like a blazing fast, put lots of quick action on the screen's focus so much as it was being able to handle large objects in interesting ways. And because of that, the games had this really wonderful feel that fit Nintendo's exploratory, experimental school of game design, and you just got these marvelously diverse games out of it. Refinements of 8-bit era platforming ideas, but also great RPGs and wonderful sports games and great racing games.
Okay, so let's unpack this. First, let's start with the smaller question. Is it the best Nintendo console? Is it better than the NES?
Do I get to count the DS in this or not?
I mean, sure.
Is that okay? No, the DS is the best Nintendo hardware. But
yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what. It depends on what your criteria is. Like, honestly, like a discussion maybe for another time is like, I'm not sure what criteria you're using that makes the DS Nintendo's best piece of hardware, unless it's like the most divergent or unique, which like that makes sense, I guess.
Well, I mean,
but
best is a hyperbolic word,
right?
Right?
You can mean a lot of different things,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. I'm saying for me, it always comes down right to software, and when I think about Nintendo's major franchises.
Yeah.
Which continues to be their main pillars even today. The franchises they were banking on in 1991 are the same as the ones they were banking on in 2001. Will probably be the same ones they're banking on in 2021.
For the most part.
For the most part.
Minus Pokemon and...
Sure, right. Pretty much every single one of those franchises, the best game ever on that franchise is on that system.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's the difference between what I think is the best versus what's my favorite, personally.
Yeah,
sure.
The Super Nintendo is my favorite console of all time because Super Metroid's my favorite game of all time, and Super Mario World is, undoubtedly better than Mario 3.
No one would disagree.
So, separate from my personal taste, I would probably make an argument for the PlayStation 1 being the greatest console of all time, just in terms of like how many great, incredible, iconic games came out on each console. Like there's 100 on the PlayStation.
It's definitely
1.
in the discussion. I
Just
agree.
by sheer
PS1 is definitely
volume,
in the discussion.
like I think over 1,000 PlayStation 1 games were released, and the switch to the CD medium allowed just weird small games that would have been too expensive to ever get made and get sold. Get made and get sold. The game didn't need to sell 100,000 copies to break even anymore. So you had. That's the very first time I ever remember, well, I guess there was Yoshi Island commercials, but Final Fantasy VII is one of the very first games I ever remember seeing, just it was on television.
A TV spot for it, yeah.
And so you had those huge products, but then weird Japanese games, stuff like Vib Ribbon, and I don't know why I picked that out of a hat to name drop, but just
it's pretty weird.
This combination of like weird small Japanese stuff.
Rapper.
Bushido Blade.
Yeah,
Gitaru Man.
Oh, yeah.
To me, just the depth and breadth of AAA, smaller stuff, Japanese stuff, the PS1 can't be beat. JRPGs, it brought RPGs back and made them the biggest thing on Earth.
Yeah, the Super Nintendo and the PlayStation are both terrific choices for best. The reason I go with the DS is because I feel like it's the best expression of hardware-defining games in creative ways, which both those do as well. But that weird two-screen touch design and the fact that it was still very limited, the fact that you couldn't use unlimited space with a DS game. You didn't have unlimited hardware resources. And so you still had hardware design restrictions defining what your games were going to come out looking like, which was less an issue with some other platforms. That created a hotbed of weirdness very similar to what you got with the PlayStation. People just making up. It costs less to develop these games, and because of that, you got all kinds of bizarre, strange, wonderful concoctions. Yes, some of them were, Mary-Kate and Ashley 7, but
some of them were Feel the Magic.
Some of them were Feel the Magic and Super Scribblenauts.
And you got that Hotel Dusk.
And Hotel Dusk. And all those incredible Atlas games that were released on. I mean, Atlas's golden age on that thing. And, so it's a wonderful thing. I think all of these are great, and I think they're all great for the same reason. They're all people who took great hardware and then said, how do we push this 17 different ways? And they all found a really good way to do it.
The Super Nintendo games definitely have more heart, and they're the games that I hope to be playing when I'm an old man. But the PS1, to me, that's the console that just changed video games.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Everything was different after that.
Sure.
Do you remember the DS? I don't know if Nintendo does this deliberately or if it was a leak, but they did the same thing with the Wii, where the DS, they announced first, hey, we have a 2-screen handheld coming out. And that was like months before the DS was revealed, and everyone's like, Nintendo's lost their minds. They've lost it.
That thing was supposed to be a disaster.
And then months later, they said, yeah, the bottom screen's a touchscreen. Then everyone went, oh. Yeah, that makes sense. There was that period of 2 months of like the gnashing of the teeth.
And that's why I love it. It was this weird, underpowered, cartridge-fed, limited, dual-screen monstrosity. And it is, I believe, now the second best-selling piece of gaming hardware ever.
I love that there was
after the PS2?
There was a window of time where we knew there was a 2-screen handheld coming, but we didn't know one was a touchscreen. And then it's like seeing the puzzle pieces fall into place.
Jared, when you say the DS is Nintendo's best hardware, surely you mean the DS Lite.
The DS Lite is the definitive version of the DS.
Absolutely it is. I couldn't agree more. The original DS, I remember getting the original DS because I felt like, you know what? It's a Nintendo handheld. When have they ever gone wrong? I thought to myself, so I have to get it. So I got a launch DS, and when I brought that thing out of the package, I was late to the party on the DS. I actually got the PSP first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got the PSP on launch day, but not a 3D, a DS not until later. And I remember the first time I took the PSP out of the package, and I felt like the heavens parted and like angels began to sing. It felt like such a premium experience from the moment
PSP felt like an impossible thing.
Exactly, it felt like there's no way it could possibly have existed. And then I opened up the DS for the first time, and I was like, oh, I sure did spend $300 on this or whatever it was.
The PSP screen was so big and bright, and the console was so solid.
Oh man, that first DS screen was just like
horrid. It was
really
horrid.
bad. Yeah.
But yeah, the Lite was a beautiful and elegant piece of hardware. And then there was the XLs and the
DSi,
the XL,
and I didn't like any of those, and I still don't like to this day. That's something they continue with the 3DS, right? I still don't like the XL idea. To me, it's like portability is the kind of the key catchphrase there.
Yeah,
also, the fact that the screen they make it larger, but it's the same resolution, so everything looks super grainy.
They got the DS Lite so right, and then regressed for the 3DS, which is weird.
Yeah, totally. I think the XL the idea was you were going to play it at home, that effectively it was very much like the PSP and Vita theory, that this is a console you're playing at home as much as you're anywhere else.
That white DS Lite,
it was banging, man.
Yeah,
for sure.
it was
I probably owned more copies of the DS than any other hardware. Just because I would like lose it. I left one on a plane. I left one in a taxi cab. And you buy it again and again. I just like have all. I don't know. I probably had 10 different DS systems over the years.
For my money, right now, if you want to go buy something contemporaneous, the best like $150 you can spend on games is
Neo
to
Geo
walk
Pocket
out-
Color.
No, well, yeah, you order one of those on it, but no, go out and
excellent
buy
investment.
buy the ugly as sin 2DS for like $60 or whatever it is now, 80, and about 5 core 3DS games that are superb, and you're going to have 100 hours of wonderful entertainment for very little money.
It's true.